When the Lord Jesus called his disciples, all he said to them was, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." He didn't say, "Come and follow you, I'll give you riches. Come and follow me, you will have a perfect life, a comfortable life." And someone that wanted to follow him at a point, and he said, "Do you know what you are talking about? I don't have even a pillow to rest my head." So he was an itinerant preacher. He was welcomed in many homes, but he had no home of himself. He had not even a donkey. And when we follow him through thick and thin. Oh, it's just like marriage, is it not? But sometimes it's difficult. And when we look back at our life as a family, I know that we married 1974, and then we had 1 year of perfect life. There was no water, no light. Well, it doesn't matter, does it? And then early 76, I think, or late 75, the only car we had started giving trouble. And I remember saying, "Oh, it was just a car." And then 1976, our son started being sick. Then 1977, we went to France, 78, and then tried to find out how to cure him. It didn't work. He was getting worse and worse, and we continued. Then my husband was attacked, and he was sick for a whole year. He had to take daily injections. And then we were trying to get another child, couldn't, for unknown reason. We went to check, and there was nothing wrong, and we continued waiting and juggling between the hospital for our son, the hospital for my husband. And then 1982, our first child died. And it was only 1983 that we started recovering and becoming a kind of normal family. So actually, nearly 10 years, 8 years plus, we were having one attack after the other, just like that. When it comes like a flood, says God, I'll raise a standard against it. But it's too comfortable to think that the standard will be just everything will magically evaporate. It didn't happen that way. And we had to go through the mill, being crushed completely. And I want to explain to you, you might not have experienced that. I remember the particular day I was in the teaching hospital with our son for the test, because nobody knew exactly what was wrong with him. They had never seen such a thing. And even when we went to France later in 78, we found out that even there nobody had seen it. It was one of these orphan diseases. And so I was there in the hospital, and I still remember vividly kneeling by my bed in that room they had given us with our son. And I used to cry. I was crying my heart out. Reading Genesis and the story of Abraham being called by God. Say, "Come and go to the Mount Moriah and sacrifice your son." And you know how God told him, "Your son Isaac, the one you love." It was not just say, "Sacrifice your son." The one you love. And he was the only one. Just like at that point, we had only one child. And that one child was afflicted with a degenerative disease. It was getting worse and worse. People used to pray for him. People come to the house, pray for him. They even brought people from outside to pray for him. Nothing will happen. It will continue getting worse and worse. And that time I used to cry in the hospital. People were asking me in the hospital, "What is wrong with your son?" I said, "Nothing. He's not sick." And somebody said, well, if you are here, it means there's something wrong. I didn't want even to talk about it because it was too much. It was overwhelming. I was young, it was my only child, and I was crying. And as I was crying, kneeling by the bed, one of the interns, a medical student from the same university I was lecturing, knocked. And I was wondering who would know that I'm here. I didn't know anybody in town. And I opened and he said, I saw the file and I decided to come. And I was in tears. And I forgot what he said, but the only thing that I remember from the talk was, God sees your tears. He's putting them in his bottle. He prayed briefly with me and I never saw him again. But God had brought him like you bring an angel, saying, even when you pass through the fire, it will not burn you. Well, it affected us, obviously. But see what Paul said in Galatians. He said, from now on, don't let anyone trouble me, for I bear on my body the scars that show that I belong to Jesus. You know? But one thing that is heartwarming is to see that Jesus, after his resurrection, showed himself to his apostles. He visited a first time, and Thomas was not among. So they told Thomas, oh wow, you know, we saw the Lord. And Thomas said, unless I see the mark of the nails in his wrist, and I see the cut of the spear in his side, I will not believe. Then Jesus came again another time and he was there. And Jesus told him, Thomas, just touch my hands, touch my side, it's me. And you know, why should have these things remained? Jesus could have erased them by his power, but he didn't. To show that, yes, you will pass through fire, you will pass through torments, and these things will be on you. Your body, your mind, your heart, your emotions will be scarred for life. But we shall be awake, risen with Christ. But we have not forgotten. We are marked as his. We passed through death, through life with him. And yes, it is really painful. Really painful. And what he does now is people, if they know, then they can talk to us and we are able to understand, just like Jesus, having been and being a man, knows all about people, understands our condition. And for me, when I hear about people having sick children, I feel the pain because it touches a place in me that is still raw. Years will not remove that. It's still tender. It's still raw. I still remember as if it is today that it happened. But it helps us to understand others and to love them, to have the compassion of God for them.